So what'd you think of the debate last night? I think this scene describes it perfectly.
But there must be alternatives. You must have some technology that could solve our problem.
Your problem is not technology. The problem is you. You lack the will to change.
Then help us change.
I cannot change your nature. You treat the world as you treat each other.
But every civilization reaches a crisis point eventually.
Most of them don't make it.
Yours did? How?
Our sun was dying. We had to evolve in order to survive.
So it was only when your world was threatened with destruction that you became what you are now.
Yes.
Well, that's where we are. You say we're on the brink of destruction, and you're right. But it's only on the brink that people find the will to change. Only at the precipice do we evolve. This is our moment. Don't take it from us. We are close to an answer.
So what's our civilization's crisis point? To sum it up in one sentence, we cannot currently discern the difference between truth and falsehood. And if we don't figure it out quick, it will end our civilization because everybody thinks that they're on the good side. Look at the debate. The truth is that most everyday people have no idea what the facts are on the specifics that they talked about. So they then turn to their chosen source of information to decide for them what the facts are. And oftentimes this source is in falsehood or evil, you could say, disguised as truth. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at it from a historical perspective. This has been happening for thousands of years. Evil always disguises itself as good. Evil says it's here to save you from the real evil and then tricks you into thinking that it's good. And from a historical perspective, people think that in World War II, we wiped out the evil. But did it really get wiped out? Or did it just morph into a different form? Can it ever truly get wiped out? This is where the wisdom of the Lord of the Rings comes into play. Evil manifests itself as Sauron and just keeps taking different forms upon his body being destroyed. As long as there is free will, there will be those that choose the path of the dark side. The problem is that we lack the will to change from the belief that stems from this hard truth. Just because your information source has been around for a while doesn't mean that it's telling you the truth or that it's still in truth. Most of the time, evil isn't striking all at once. It slowly unfolds its plan for many years until they've corrupted the very systems that you've grown to trust. And then all of a sudden, boom! Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are both perfect metaphors for this. The metaphor of the rings and the plan of Order 66. And a similar scenario is what these sources of information are trying to create. But the trick is to disconnect you from truth so that they can tell you what it is, so that you can think that you're on the good side, when you're really not. And this debate reminds me that evil is taking over because we have too much trust in sources of information telling us what is right or wrong for us, or really what is true and false. But this is by their design though. They have us so focused on just trying to survive that we don't bother to take the time to research what the truth actually is and just believe the source where we're getting our information from. And the type that really struggles with this is what's called in the Enneagram, the Type 6 loyalists. And these debates are baits specifically for this type, and a couple others, but mainly this one. And this is because these messages get internalized even more deeply by them because of their core psychological need for security, which makes them cling to these belief systems. They don't realize that what they're being loyal to isn't necessarily true or even their own thoughts. It's just a program running in the background dictating their fears and actions. They think that they're being cautious and responsible, but really, they're just following scripts that were written for them a long time ago. Scripts that are reinforced over and over again by society, making them blind to the fact that they're acting out someone else's narrative. Because it just seems normal. Because they're in an echo chamber because they're only getting their information from one source. Again, by design though. So you're saying kind of like code with intentional errors in it to keep the person looping in fear, looking for a savior. Exactly. They think they're being rational and protective, but it's all based on this deep-seated programming. This isn't just a code that's ran in this debate arena. It's also in an area most people don't want to admit, religion. And because loyalists and similar types don't question it, they just perpetuate it, reinforcing the very systems and fears that hold the system up itself. We're holding it up. It's only by our agreement. Sounds like we're doomed. Nah, we're right on schedule. You see, this had to happen in some form for our entire civilization to level up. Just as the movie said, For us to evolve requires a strong enough crisis to give us the catalyst to level up, just like in video games. So in some way, this is all happening for us then. I know it's easy to just say that, but I really do feel as though that's the truth. But you know what? Maybe all of this time we've been waiting for someone else, some leader or system to decide our fate. But what if the real message was never about being saved by another? What if it's about awakening right here and now to the power that resides within each of us? I understand how painful this can be. Trust me, I've been there. It's not easy to face the truth that we've been passive, allowing others to dictate what we believe. As Carl Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. And this pain that he's referring to, this discomfort, this struggle, is the key to our awakening. It's the very thing that can elevate our awareness and ultimately save our civilization. If we want a better world, we can no longer wait for others to build it for us. We must confront our own fears, our shadows, the parts of ourselves we've ignored or denied. The truth isn't just something external, something we're told. It lives within each one of us. And when we stop relying on others to define our reality and begin to look within, that's when we will truly level up as a civilization. That's when we unite, not as followers, but as conscious creators, building something far greater together. For too long, we've been standing still. Now is the moment to rise and decide for ourselves what the truth really is and to act on it. By facing and alchemizing our own shadows and pain, we can begin to shape a world which is not the one that they want us to create, the one they're trying to convince us to accept, but rather the world that we all deeply know is possible, a vision far beyond their control, one they fear, because if we realize it, they will no longer hold power over us. This crisis is forcing us to choose, but I believe in us. I believe in humanity, and I believe we will rise above this. Let us create this greater human civilization, not because someone told us to, but because we have connected to the truth within ourselves.